Module 6, Session 2. What is wrong with our food systems? The second session in this module continues the learning journey related to food and water. Here, learners will be presented with the knowledge and skills about issues we are facing with existing food systems, define what is meant by food sustainability, ways to measure food sustainability, and the way forward. Throughout this session, there is a focus on several main concepts, such as food system, food waste, food consumption, food sustainability indexes. Keep an eye on these concepts as we go through the material. One of the main problems we are facing with existing food system is that 1 in 7 people go to bed hungry. That is almost 1 billion people worldwide. The reason is mainly due to that the food system is broken due to low production levels. To solve this issue and try to avoid hunger, we need to tackle climate change, reduce food waste, support small-scale food producers. Here are some of the statistics to help us see the bigger picture. Approximately 1.3 billion tons of the food produced around the world gets lost or wasted. These losses amount to about $680 billion in industrialized countries and about half of that in developing countries. Strangely, when comparing the amount of wasted food in industrialized countries with that from developing countries, it's almost the same. In developing countries, 40% of losses occur at post-harvest and processing levels, while in industrialized countries, more than 40% of losses happen at retail and consumer levels. If we are able to save just 1/4 of this amount currently lost or wasted globally, it will be enough to feed 870 million hungry people around the world. Watch the video titled Food Waste in the World's Dumbest Problem. Share your main key takeaways from the video with your group. Since the starting point for food production is agricultural operations, it's important to highlight the challenges and threats that can hinder these operations. These can be summed up in the following 4 points: poverty, pollution, water consumption, and climate change. Each of these factors, either individually or collectively, can cause major disruptions and therefore need to be tackled carefully to ensure that the flow of food production is not affected. Let's take climate change, for example, and how it affects food prices. Have you noticed the increase in good prices? Do you know that it's all related to climate change? Discuss with your group. Let's assume we are able to produce with the quality and quantity needed. The next point is to think about related to consumption. As we have presented earlier in this session, it is clear that different countries are wasting food. The action calls for a pause in how we ensure that we are able to reduce our waste and ensure practices that preserve food for longer periods of time without affecting its quality. One of the obvious ways is a proper storage after harvesting, ensuring the right temperatures during transportation and even when on display in shops and supermarkets. The other aspect is related to how we, as consumers, try to reduce our waste. This is by purchasing the right amount of food needed for individuals in our household and think of possible means to recycle any waste. In this region, I'd like you to think about our cultural occasions that take place. Assess the amount of food presented in social and cultural events and the amount of food waste. Discuss with your group how to ensure better food consumption practices. In addition to our consumption rates, another key factor related to food is our choice of what we eat. In other words, our diets. Are they sustainable diets or not? Lately, different dietary systems have emerged that contributed to growing awareness of health, environmental sustainability, cultural diversity, ethical considerations, and even personal preferences. There is now planet-based diet, which is a win-win for both our personal health and even for the environment. Diets that minimize meat, mainly to preserving it as a main contributor to the greenhouse gas emissions. Diets based on seafood, with careful consideration of the species that are at risk for overfishing. As a conclusion, we need to ensure that we are eating mindfully. This relates to all decisions being made related to food choice, whether local or imported, the quantity and its quality. More on this topic by accessing the suggested extended reading, Sustainability, the Nutrition Source. Let's turn this to an activity. In class, we can be divided into groups of 2. Each group will consist of one local farmer representative and another foreign farmer representative. Students must then assess the necessary steps required by each farm to deliver the same good. Let's think of apples as an example. Which process will result in a higher carbon footprint from your point of view, and thus a larger contribution to climate change? Think about that and share your views. The next concept in this session is sustainable food system. We talked earlier about food system. Remember that food system is an overarching framework that connects food security, climate change, nutrition, and sustainable agriculture. A food system refers to the entire process involved in producing, processing, distributing, consuming, and disposing of food. So what is a sustainable food system? Check the figure that refers to 6 criterion for defining what is a sustainable food system. You'll find that it relates to health, ecological, economic, social, ethical, and resilience. With a high-level panel of experts, the HLPE, they set a 5-level transition towards sustainable food systems while relating it to the 13 agroecological principles. Agroecology is a dynamic concept that has gained prominence in scientific agriculture and political discourse in recent years. It is increasingly promoted and being able to contribute to transforming food systems by applying ecological principles to agriculture and ensuring regenerative use of natural resources and ecosystem services. It's also about addressing the need for socially equitable food systems, which people can exercise choice over what they eat, how they eat, and where it's produced. To know more about building a sustainable food system, go to the OECD library, where you can get some more information through the reading. Now, let's see how to measure food sustainability. Remember in Module 1, we mentioned that there are different ways to measure sustainability through the different indices. The same goes for measuring food sustainability. Food Sustainability Index, or the FSI, measures the sustainability of food systems in 34 countries around 3 main key issues. They're designed around the SDGs, food loss, and weight sustainable agriculture nutrition. The index looks at policies and outcomes around the sustainable food systems and diets through a series of key performances. They also take into consideration environmental, social, and economic sustainability. I think by now you're familiar with all these terms. They all relate to the triple bottom line as well. Here's a chart on how well countries around the globe are doing in relation to the 3 key issues to measure food sustainability. I'd like you, before analysing the chart, think about what are your expectations. I'd like you now to look at the countries, particularly those who are doing well and those who are performing at the bottom level. Are expectations found in that figure or not? Go to the reading sections and, along with your group, read Food Sustainability Index 2021. Write down what are the main key takeaways. Any surprising points in your findings? To conclude with this session, remember that we have discussed the following main concepts: food systems, what is meant by food sustainability, the ways to measure food sustainability, and the way forward.